is I'll evaluate, of course, the soils and some floodplain stuff like that, but that traffic number, I will get typically a traffic engineer involved, and they'll equate the Williamson County's traffic number equation. And to give you a rough idea of what it is, you'll look at a chart, depending on what road that land is on, or the property is on, you'll go to a chart, and you'll go down that chart, and you'll look and say, it's like 0.6. Well, to give you an idea of that, if you've got 100 acres, and you can get, and it's zoned RD1, which means you can get, by zoning rights, you can get 100 lots. You take that 100 lots, times it by the 0.6 for the traffic deal, all you can get is 60 lots on that piece of property max. So we evaluate that, or I evaluate all that prior to Bob typically making an offer on a piece of property, so he knows what he's dealing with, what approximate number of lots has he's got, and what's he dealing with. That gives you an idea.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So what other kinds of improvements might you be asked to make as you're trying to get your development improved? What might they ask you to do?
There's turn lanes, there's off-site turn lanes. Based on the traffic report coming back in just for traffic, they may have it. Bob and I put a left turn lane into the site. You know, they may come back in and Bob say, well, I can't, you know, we've got to get more yield on this subdivision to raise that. And you can actually change that number in that traffic table by doing a lot of off-site road improvements. Now, you may have to go down a mile or two and do intersection improvement, signal improvements, turn lanes at different intersections that are not in front of your property, but are further down the road. Now, you'll have to back up and say, well, is that, you know, $2 million worth of off-site road projects worth me getting X amount of lots that traffic shed would bump up my numbers for you.
So the whole purpose in Williamson County doing this traffic study was to try to upgrade their roads. So they were going to try to put that on the developer. So you buy that tract, okay, you can get 1 acre, 1 lot to the acre on that. So, but the road only says 0.6. But if you're willing to spend $3 million to upgrade the roads all the way to a major artery that can get the traffic out, we'll give you 1 to the acre. Has it been done yet? No developer has been willing to pay $2 or $3 million to upgrade a road. So Williamson County is not getting their roads upgraded, and they're still seeing development.
You bring up a good point, Bob. Matter of fact, last year I was on another project where a developer tried to do that. The issues that they're running into, even if you want to do that, you want to go off-site and do 2 or 3 miles of improvements, $3 million. If the right-of-way is not there, if the deeds to adjacent properties, which that's what I'm seeing on a lot of these, a lot of old deeds call to the center line of that road, and the right-of-way, it didn't matter what the county road superintendent tells you if it's 50 foot. If the deed calls the center line of the road, that property is still the center line of the road unless the county or somebody's bought that right-of-way from you. What I'm getting at is if we want to come down through there and do roadway improvements that's got to go past that right-of-way or still in the right-of-way but it's never been deeded, that will not happen unless those developers or owners of the properties allow that. So if you've got 10 or 15 different property owners you've got to go across, good luck getting all of them to agree to a certain area. So,
example in Rutherford County, in the county, with a step system. Now we're still talking about in the county. We can get 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 if we've got good land, lots to the acre. Totally different. They're going to require some turn lanes. So Rutherford County is much more developer friendly, as is probably a Wilson or a Sumner than Williamson. Therefore, more affordable product there. We just did one of the biggest subdivisions, well, the biggest subdivisions I've ever done. And after the Great Recession from 08 to 12, I said, Marie, we're never going to do anything that big again. So 2 years later, we're doing the biggest subdivision we've ever started. I am a liar. And so anyway, we had to bring sewer. We had to bore I-24, bring sewer under I-24. Take it to...
I bet that wasn't very expensive, was it?
Oh my gosh. It was probably a $500,000 to bore.
Oh my gosh.
And to get it to the site. And then we had to create 2 pump stations because it wasn't gravity. So you have to have gravity. So if you don't have gravity with sewer, you create a pump station, which creates enough force to shoot everything to where it is gravity. So that off-site and everything was easily over $1 million. So there are off-sites everywhere, but And this is not a deterrent on Williamson County, but I'm just telling you that's why it is hard to find what we call affordable products. So anytime we do a development that is close to the Williamson County line, you get a lot of overflow for somebody who wants up 3 and 4 or 500,000. So they're usually off sites almost everything. They're just a little bit different. And when you have a higher density, you can spread that over a lot more units.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the other issue, the one that Bob and I see on most of these also, are water line improvements. It's either the traffic of the road or off-site water improvements from somewhere to make sure that you have the adequate water pressure for fire protection for the subdivision. Now, water is, it's either the road or water getting to the site. So keep those in mind. And that's one of the first things I look at for Bob when he calls and has me evaluate a site is I email the utility district and find out what kind of pressure. Is that a good zone, or is there need to be any upgrades type stuff, and for the road improvements. So the water was another big.
Yeah. Remember, when you're talking to a seller, if you're in Williamson County, in the county, or really in the city, it will take a year, at least a year. We're working on a piece of property right now that the seller, well, I've just discounted it. So I want my money in 30 days, but it's wanting development prices. It's impossible unless somebody's really nuts and want to go on and has an alternative. I'm going to farm it, I'm going to run cattle, whatever you're going to do. But that's the first thing the sellers need to be prepared for. If you want development prices, you better wait. I'm going to tell you, it's at least a year. The big project in Murfreesboro that we're just now starting to close lots, I closed on it 2.5 years ago. Now, that's not necessarily because of Murfreesboro, it's because of the state. And it's just, we ran into one issue after another. So the seller has to be real patient unless they're willing to price it in such a way that a developer can take a gamble on it. So.
Good answer. Okay. Jamie, this one's for you. I know one of your areas of expertise is with step systems. So sometimes, there may be a development where sewer isn't available and a septic isn't appropriate. So tell us about step systems and the soil testing process for that and what those even are. Some people may not even know what that is.
Okay, the step system is a wastewater treatment system that a single subdivision has on. Typically, we place one on each subdivision, so the treatment and the collection and the disposal will be all on that subdivision. Each house will have a standard septic tank, but it'll be a 2-compartment tank where the gray water is pumped from each house via a collection line. What's cool about that is we don't deal with gravity, so that we're not digging a bunch of deep gravity sewers. We're 30 inches deep. We're doing small force mains up and down the roads to a wastewater treatment system. And typically what we're seeing, the wastewater treatment in Williamson County is recirculating sand filters. I'm not sure if y'all have seen those on any of these subdivisions, but what it looks like is a sand volleyball court. If you picture it, you pull up, you'll see a fence around it, you'll look out there, and it looks like a sand volleyball court. It's what it actually looks like, with a little 12 by 12 block building typically sitting beside it. Right beside it, which has the ultraviolet disinfection and the pumps located in that pump it out to drip fields. Now, the drip fields are typically your soils that you use for septic systems, but the step system can use more soils than a standard conventional septic system, because in Williamson County, in order for Bob and I to do a subdivision there, you take the septic out of Williamson County, which takes forever in Williamson County. If you've ever dealt with Brian Corn and septic in Williamson County, y'all know. You do the step system on the subdivisions, you're dealing with TDEC only. TDEC gives you permits, you get approvals through them. Well, TDEC has got soil.
What's TDEC stand for, Jamie?
Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation. Sorry, I'm using letters, but they're the ones that approve it, but you get to use more soils with the step system than you would for a conventional system. There's typically for a step system, you go down to 20 inches to the restrictive layer. So instead of a septic system where there's typically 24 inches and they can only use certain types, we can use a lot more types of soils if the restrictive layer is only 20 inches deep or deeper. So, and I guess I need to probably get up here and draw on the board if we do a step system, this equates to some more numbers that'll mess with you up in Williamson County. I'll just use.
Can y'all tell he's an engineer? Tell he's an engineer.
I'm sorry.
It's a compliment.
Let's just say this is 100 acres, and of course we got road frontage here, and we've got a step system. This is where all our good soils are back here. So the whole piece of property is.
Hey, Jamie, so when you say good soils, what's the good soils versus bad soils?
Let's say Stiversville up here in Williamson County is a really good soils. Hampshire, any type of loam, silt loam type stuff, when you read that the soil's got some type of clay texture to it, it's typically not a good soils where the water has to absorb down into the soils and trickle out, absorb.
So that makes a good soil.
Yes, and I can send whoever charged on it, but there's a ton of good soils versus bad soils. Typically you see like Talbot or anything, the rock outcropping type stuff, when you see that, that's bad soils. Anything with rock, clay type stuff. Usually want a silty, loam, sandy type soils.
Just because water moves better.
Yeah, water moves through it and stuff.
We're just slow. Just work with us.
Okay.
We're gonna learn.
But once I evaluate the soils and I determine that this would be a perfect area, because what's good about the step system versus conventional? Let's just say the whole piece of property had pockets of conventional soils all over it, and we had to go through there and track it off in 5-acre tracts. That property would be a certain value, but when you have a piece of property, let's say it's 100 acres, and you got one big patch of good soils back up there, you can do a step. It's ideal for a step system. We typically come through here and put all our lots. But if this is 100 acres total, and then we got road frontage through here, let's just say that road frontage is the traffic number, like we're talking about 0.5, so we're back in that number. Let's just say this ended up being 20 acres for my wastewater. They make you exclude, what a lot of people don't know is they make you exclude this 20 acres now out of that 100. So now you're down to an equation of 80 acres, 100 minus 20 times your 0.5. So in this deal, you can get only 40 lots. So that kind of gives you an idea. I don't know if I confused.
Yeah, that was really helpful.
Sorry.
That's
You got it memorized.
Bob's just glad you're here.
But that wastewater tract of land, that has to be removed from
So they don't count it
overall.
like common area.
No,
it's like they just
no.
subtract it out.
And then you'll have, your 50% of it will be open space. So here's your open space here, and then here's all your lots. So your lots are scattered in here, or vice versa. So
Gotcha.
So you have 40 acres in that equation, 40 acres of open space, minimum.
Wow. All right, thank you. So once all the lots are developed, the roads are in, this may be a question more for you, Bob. The roads are in, all the work is done. How do you decide on the prices for the builder? Is it one builder? Is it all custom builders? I mean, how do you decide who the best builder is and what to do next once the lots are ready?
Well, the first question is, are you going to list with Parks Realty? If their answer is yes, you're a good builder. So you're in.
So that's it. That's the answer.
Well, that's pretty easy.
That's the answer. Okay.
But I will tell you, we have done developments and periodically have to do developments where they do not list. The majors, the nationals, traditionally do not list. However, here recently, they have told me if that's the only way we can get what we call dirt, then we will consider it, believe it or not. So the consideration is the size of the lot. So a lot of builders like to pay or like to have 20% or less of the sales price of the house in the finished lot. So if your sales price is $500,000, they like to have no more than $100,000 in the lot. 20%. That's what they like to do. You are seeing that push up, especially in Williamson County. We had a builder recently offer us on a lot that equated close to 30%. So if you're dealing in land on the near the beach, or you're dealing with land infill downtown, it's all over 30% or better. If you're at the beach, it's 50% or better a lot of times. So, but they like to have 20%. So in Williamson County, we're sneaking up to 22 or 23%. So do you understand how I came up with that? If they figure that that sales price is going to be $1,200,000, 200,000 is their number. If it's going to be 300,000, 60,000 is their number. But we're also seeing that inch up a little bit, quite a bit, as a matter of fact. So that it all is based on who the builders are, who we've dealt with. If we've dealt with them before and they've responded favorably, if they clean their lots and repair their curbs, then we'll go back to them and they list with the company. So that's how we. John?
So when you say that percentage of the total purchase price in the land, you mean like the raw purchase or the pad ready piece?
The lot that's ready to start building on.
So with the pad.
So if that lot, and I'm selling it to them for 80,000, they're probably figuring, well, I'm going to do a $400,000 house on it. Okay. Back a while, it was in the 15, 16, 17%. So back in the recession, they got it for a lot less than that. So thank goodness we're far enough out of this recession. They're not still spoiled to having those low lot costs that they either bought from us who needed to sell lots or from the bank who took lots back. So, but it's always a process of who we're dealing with and who's the best builder in certain price points. So.
Good. And I can tell now we're going to have some time at the end. John, thank you for your question. But if any of you do have questions, be thinking about them. And in a few minutes, I think we'll have time to open this up and y'all can ask these guys some things maybe that are on your mind. So the last question I have for you, Bob, is I would love to hear about your biggest success, all the developments you've done. Talk to us a little bit about what you're most proud of, what you're the most happy with how it turned out. Give us a success story.
What's my favorite child?
Well, we all know.
I've told every one of you I love your office the best.
Okay, tell us about a couple of them then. In no particular order of your favorite.
Very proud of when we did Princeton Hills here in Brentwood. We had first come to Williamson County from Rutherford County. Rutherford County is we deal a lot in affordable, blue collar, and very proud of it. There's nothing wrong with that. So when we came into Williamson County, it was like, if you've been through New Agent or the orientation, you've heard this story. It was like, oh, okay, you're a developer from Rutherford County, and you've just bought a prime piece of property over here. So, oh, are you going to butcher it up or what? So we did a very nice job of it. We brought in a sculptured brick wall, if you've ever seen that at the entrance of Princeton Hills, and it denotes the history of Brentwood. So even to buffalo hunting and all that kind of stuff that used to go on there. So very proud of that, and it turned out to be, we had investors in it, and it was a very profitable. We hit almost a 40% IRR, which is a 40% return on cash, which is huge. We've done a lot of them in Murfreesboro.
Wasn't that right when you opened Brentwood? Didn't you put an office in around that
time? Same time.
Okay.
Exactly. It was in October of '95. So we opened that office, which really helped toward opening that office and us entering this market, and that we were able to show them that we understood how to do nice developments too. Berkshire in Murfreesboro was one we did in 2000 that was highly successful, in Marymount in Murfreesboro. We did the Hunt Club in Hendersonville. We've done several in Williamson County, Willow Springs, Stream Valley, we started out with that, and Breezeway over on Carruthers. So we've done a lot of different developments in a lot of different areas. Davidson County has been a little bit of a challenge. We did Summerfield there, and we're just now getting out of that 18 years later. So when you do an original pro forma, you do not pro forma. I think I'll be in this 24 years. I mean, this typically does not work when you do that. So ideally, if you can be in and out of something in 5 years, that's keeping it a little smaller, you're better off. Shelton that we're doing now is probably a 10-year project because it has 750 lots. So yeah, a lot of, and I will tell you, this is my problem. I've never seen a development I didn't love. So I've never seen a good piece of property I didn't really love. So people say, once you put it under contract, how many of them do you close on? I said, well, I hate to say it, about close to 100%. Because we try to do, through Jamie's help, we try to do enough due diligence, and we don't want to take that seller down a path. A lot of people will do that, and we call them somewhat flippers. So they will get it under contract, they will get it entitled, then they're going to try to flip it, and they will never develop it. So and nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing. They've done very well, and they didn't take the risk that I've taken. So, and they've, during the recession, they did much better than we did because we had 400 lots sitting at one time. Oh. And unlike a house, you can't rent a lot. So if you have a house, you can rent it. So many,
Wow.
many fond memories. And what is good is to go back into some of those neighborhoods and look at them and how they matured. So that gives you a great feeling.
Good deal. So do any of you have any questions for these guys? Oh, good. Donna. Oh, sorry, Jamie, go ahead.
I was just before I had forgot to mention it, never got brought up, but one big thing that Bob and I are facing now in Williamson County that I somehow forgot to mention is the large buffers around the subdivisions. Yeah.
This is critical.
This has just come about. I brought one with me to give you an idea. All right. If we do lots, they're typically half acre, 10,000 square foot lots. I'll do a square boundary here. This is the road again up front. If we're doing, let's say 10,000 square foot lots, the buffer required for that from Williamson County, 350 feet off the road. So no houses. So you look at the land that we've already lost here, just right off the bat. You cannot do anything with that. And then you go around the perimeter on this deal. If still this is 150 feet all the way around. Now, if we change the lot sizes, if we go up bigger lots, half acre lots to 1 acre lot, then this reduces to 300 and this goes to 100. But this is you can do nothing with. Now, I can put a detention pond as part of the subdivision, but nothing in there as far as buildable that Bob can sell and make money. So then you're back down. Remember the step system we talked about? So now you're in an area here where you've got to have the step system. And then you've got to have your 50% open space in that equation also. But this counts. The only thing that's good for is it does count for your open space. So
let me tell you an issue. You've got a piece of property that's got, say it's 50 acres, it's got 500 feet of frontage. You think, okay, that's not bad at all. So if it's got 500 feet of frontage, and you got to pull in 150 here, and you pull in 150 here, that's 300. You cannot develop it. A road's going to take up 50, so you've got 200 feet left. A road's going to take up 50, so you got 150 feet. So the only way to develop it is a single loaded road, which is a nightmare. It doubles your cost. You see what I'm saying? If it's 500 feet and I'm pulling 150 and 150, I've got 200 feet by which to operate with, and you take a road out, you've got 150 left, so you can't develop it. A lot of people don't understand this. A lot of the people who have owned farms for years here don't understand what's happening. And quite honestly, it is devaluing the land. Now, the aim in Williamson County, and there's nothing wrong with this, is to restrict development. If you don't know that, if you live here, you should know that by now. It's like we don't want any more development. Nothing wrong with that. But what they're doing is affecting the land prices of a lot of people who've lived here for generation and generation, and their farms are not worth what they think they are. Is that a fair statement, Jamie?
yeah, because he's exactly right. And they passed that resolution. This thing here with these lots, this was a knee-jerk reaction to a subdivision, one of the subdivisions I was working on off Tullis Road, that Bob and I, Daventry subdivision. People come out there and they complained about houses being too close to the road. So we moved them back, 200 or 300 feet. Well, then the next month they had in front of the county commission and planning commission a deal to revise all that, to make it to where nobody could develop property within those buffers. So they typically, in Williamson County, what we see is anytime something happens, they got a knee-jerk reaction, they change it. They'll change the traffic shed, they'll change this. Even in midstream, Bob and I have been involved in a subdivision out Franklin Highway, right in the middle of it. They froze us right in the middle of the development because they wanted to change the traffic shed numbers. They didn't agree with what they had written down in their table. So Bob and I had to wait several months, correct, Bob? It just stands still. So it's Williamson County. So
So this buffer only applies inside the county. It doesn't
Correct.
apply to the city as a municipality.
Just Williamson County.
We're talking about Williamson County itself. So, and one other thing, let me tell you, and I think I've told a lot of you this, you need to understand that any new development that is going to be built, there will no longer be mailboxes allowed. You will have to have a kiosk, a gang kiosk, like you do at apartments or like townhomes or whatever. So any new development, there is no more mailboxes. This is nationwide. It's got nothing to do with any county or any state. So when you're dealing with that, understand there'll be a gang mailbox that people will have to drive up to.
Even in like $1 million neighborhoods, they're going to have a little
makes
mail.
no difference.
They're going to have a little kiosk,
Yeah.
just like at the apartments.
Yeah. It's U.S. Postal Service is, yeah, U.S. Postal Service is losing money.
Did you
And
get
they
your
say this
question?
will help save money, so. You're in charge, moderator.
Oh, okay. Y'all keep the mic because y'all are going to need it. We'll go. Donna, did you get your question answered? Your hand went up first. Okay.
Okay, I just came back from a conference where Lawrence Yoon, who's the NAR's economist, spoke. He says that nationally we have a shortage of 4 to 5 million homes currently, and we need to address barriers to development. What do you see besides this as the biggest barriers to development, Middle Tennessee-wide? Not necessarily just Williamson County.
Meaning they need to address the barriers so we're not so deficient on that. It's all up to the municipalities. Whereas in Rutherford, you can usually go quicker and get a higher density. If there's some other areas that are just, they're not going to allow it, and they will not allow it, period.
Yes, the difference between pro-growth and, for
So you
growth.
address it on a local level, and you just stay
Correct.
diligent and continue.
Yeah, the state nor the federal government cannot impose anything like they haven't yet. Now, this president might try to impose something on it. I don't know, but right now it hadn't happened.
Yeah, the only thing in the mailbox thing that Bob and I forgot to mention is that if you have 7 lots or less, they can still deliver to your house, and or handicap. If you have a family member that's handicapped, they will still deliver to your house for that. But if you have a 500 lot subdivision, it's going to be in one spot. We thought at one time a few weeks ago when they mandated this immediately. It wasn't like they gave us 6 weeks to address it. It was anything on the ground where Bob hadn't recorded a final plat on has to have them. We're having to go back and retrofit subdivisions that were never even thought of having a mail kiosk. But anyhow, you can do them for 7 lots or less to the house. And one subdivision has to have one location for them also.
I didn't know the one location myself. I didn't.
Yeah, they just made that.
Okay. There is a huge deficiency in housing nationwide. It is larger in Middle Tennessee than anywhere else in the nation because we monitor that. We are not getting close to another great recession. Trust me, we're so far behind in getting things done right now. So.
There you go ahead.
Amen.
I have a question specific to Clear Creek. That big step septic system and field that's at the front of the neighborhood, is that going to be for the next phase 2, or will you have to build another one for the next phase?
Which one? Clear.
It's on Almaville Road.
Oh, yeah, that's down the road from me. Yeah, that's out Almaville Road. Yeah. I got some now, so I was thinking Williamson County. There is another phase of drip lines back in the back in phase 2. I don't think we've got to that lot count yet, but it's in where that second entrance is teeing out onto Almaville, past the curve from the existing entrance. There'll be some more drip fields back here. There's just a handful more drip fields.
And I don't know if you remember it specifically, but the biggest question we get asked if there's going to be any trails or park or anything. There is? Okay. Yeah. Phase 2. Yeah. Sooner or later.
All right. I think I'm going to use my mic for these questions.
Road is a nice trail. Nice curvature.
Livestock. Yeah.
All right. Who else has a question? I want to get these on mic so that we get the questions recorded. I'm going to come back to you, Laurie. Don't let the mic scare you. It's just so they can hear.
Well, mine's more of a contract question. Maybe Bob, I'm not sure, but when you're assisting someone who's wanting to sell their land, I'm not sure that I understand how to advise them or even discuss about how much money goes down at certain days and time, when it goes hard, I was involved in one a couple years ago, and the seller just could not grasp that it was going to take so much time to do the due diligence, and he wanted the money hard at a certain date, and the developer wasn't willing to do that because he'd be out. So can you explain that a little bit?
We've done a couple scenarios. We're in one right now, aren't we, Jennifer? Where we have, we said we need 6 months, 90 days, and nothing goes hard. Then after that, we will have a feel, and then we've given as little as $2,000 a month up to $5,000 a month for continued extensions up to a period of time. Now, historically, all of that money will apply to the purchase price, so it is applicable. It is non-refundable. So you don't get it back. So if you have a 6-month free due diligence or a 90-day free due diligence, if you decide I'm out, you walk and no money goes hard. But once you do the other, it is typically non-refundable but applicable. So, you understand?
You know, big chunks like 50 grand.
Well, you might put 50 or 100,000 down to secure it, but you always have a 90 or 6 months free due diligence to analyze it. Then we can, with Jamie's help, and when we call, they're wonderful about getting on it, and we can pretty well make a decision fairly quick if it's worth investing hard money after that. Okay? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, this is for Jamie. When you take the 20% out to do a step system, I was talking with the engineer down at Metro, Christian Thompson, and he was explaining to me a new system that you're not going to eat up 20% of the land. And he was talking about a self-sufficient system that when the sewer comes into this building on property, that it takes care of everything. Are you familiar with that?
No, but no, I actually helped write the regs for the state of Tennessee, and if you do not have the soils, it doesn't matter what type of system. And I agree, there's all different type of systems to treat it, but you have to have land to do drip dispersal. You're not going to discharge it into a creek or anything anymore. It's very rarely you see any type of discharge or anything like that.
I wish I could remember exactly how he explained it, because he did it so fast and he kind of just blew over it. But he was talking about it actually being a system that absorbs itself.
Yeah, but still, it won't. Once you treat the wastewater, then that wastewater has to go somewhere. It's not going to just. So it typically either you discharge it into river, like majority of the municipal deals, but these are self-sustained. This stays in the watershed. It's really what they consider a going green technology. I did the whole city of Eagleville on a step system, and we got a federal grant on it, but it's a going green technology. All the wastewater stays there on your site. Everybody in that subdivision's wastewater is treated on site, and the water is treated. It's not raw sewage like a septic system. It's clean water, just as clean as, I mean, it looked just like this, that disperses into the soils. But you have to have the soils. And each area that we're talking about, Williamson County, Rutherford County, Fairview, or different areas, they have different loading rates that they will allow. That's the only difference. You still have to get rid of the wastewater at some location. And typically, like Rutherford County, you're based on CUD's regs, you're looking at 14 lots, somewhere in that neighborhood per acre. Here roughly the same. If you go to Fairview, I'm getting more like 20 lots per acre. So different areas. Smyrna, I'm doing step systems in Smyrna. I'm doing them in Murfreesboro, in the city limits. I'm getting almost 20 lots to the acre there. So there's incentives for people to, instead of doing off-site gravity, if you can't get gravity sewer to it, then we do on-site treatment. And instead of taking it to the Rutherford County, where you're getting cut 25% lots for the same area of soils, you get more there. I know it's a long-winded question for you, but every one I've ever done, I've done them all over the state. You have to have some area to disperse that soils.
All right, I saw a bunch of hands. Who else? Let me come over. Anyone on this side? Amy, I thought I saw your hand. I know y'all love this microphone, don't you? It's all good. It doesn't bite. Okay.
So I have a client who has 60 acres in Williamson County, and I just hiked it with a beautiful property. The issue with the property, though, they purchased it in 2007, is it's landlocked. It's got an easement that you have to go 100 yards back to hit their property, and now they're in a situation where they have to sell. And I've already decided I'm going to refer it out because I think that this is maybe not my wheelhouse. But having said that, I want to be able to give them you know, what are their possibilities? Right now, I know it's just you can put one house back there. If they can't get one of these farmers, which as of so far they haven't been able to get anyone to give them or sell them some of that land to give them some road frontage, what is the approximate, you know, knockoff on the value of that land? I can't find a single landlocked property to, you know, comp it to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Come on, Bob, tell her what it's worth. just give her a number.
Before the worth deal, of course, this is a legal, in my opinion, more of an attorney question on the easement, how the easement is structured. But in Williamson County, you can get, I want to say it's 5 lots off an easement, but if I'm not mistaken, because I do so many, some's 3, some's 5. But actually, I think you can get 5 lots.
People told me one.
Well,
It's a 9-foot easement.
Oh, it's a 9-foot? Oh, well, that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's when they did the survey, the surveyor just went across the road and said, hey, it's 9 feet, and it got written into the deed. So, and they
Well,
didn't know better to.
I got you. Well, that,
And I'm serious when I tell you this, I'd auction it. And the reason I would auction it is those surrounding landowners, I don't know how many it abuts, they're your buyers. 9 foot, you could not, I'm not sure a bank would finance something with a 9-foot easement. Driveways are typically a little larger than 9 foot, so I'd auction it and hope, you know, yeah, leave a reserve. If they didn't bring it, but that's the quickest way. That is the quickest way.
Good answer. Who else? Jennifer, do you have one?
So I heard Fairview recently got their water issue resolved. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, they got some of it resolved. That's the Water Authority of Dixon County. A lot of people don't understand. It's not Fairview's water anymore. They went under and they got it taken from them back a few years ago. Water Authority of Dixon County does their sewer, their step systems, because they actually got sewer out there. You can do the water. Yes, they fixed it up. It depends on what area now. They've upgraded some, but it still depends on when you get a piece of property. We need to look at and see where, because if you're on higher elevation, you may not have good pressures, and depend on where you're at. But they did upgrade that. But what they do allow in Fairview with their sewer system, if you're near their existing sewer system, you can do up to 20 lots on a subdivision. So if you find one, and you can do it and break it up in phases. So if you got let's say a 40-acre piece, and you break 20 here and 20 there, well, then you don't have to do a step system there. But once you get over that, then you have to build a step system there. Because I'm working on 2 down there right now, to where we've done a step system designed for, let's say, 200 lots, but they're using their money up front without having to spend $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 on the step system. They're doing the first 40 lots off the city sewer to pay for to get money to come back in to pay for the other. But on average for the step system, I know nobody's brought that up. It varies for cost anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000, and it depends on, similar to like shopping at Sam's. If you buy in bulk or have more lots, per lot price for that step system is going to go down. So I know a lot of people ask me that. What's the fee on that? So if you do 100 lots, you're going to be around the 4 to 5 range. You know, if you do 50 lots, you're going to be closer to the 5 or 6 range. And it depends if you're in Williamson County or Rutherford County, but those are kind of some close numbers there.
Quick statement. Step system is absolutely the very best thing that's happened to development in years, especially in Rutherford County, where we're blessed with one rock and it covers the entire county. When you can find pockets of soil, you can now develop where we never could before. Never could before.
All right, Greg.
So I figure this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask anyway. So back to your Stream Valley example, that's outside the city limits, right? It was City of Franklin. So that's how they're able to have such small lots and that density.
Absolutely. Yeah, Franklin is much better, not to work with, but understand density better. So if you want to stop urban sprawl, you have density. Because urban sprawl is, I'm going to put one lot on 1 acre and we're just going to sprawl everywhere. That's what's happened. So, but they are better. Franklin is better. Brentwood is still one.
Anyone else? Hannah?
I have a question for Jamie and for Bob, please. Jamie, I have 10 acres out in Fairview that does not have sewer. So can we do a 2-acre step or commercial kind of septic system on that? What are going to be the options?
Your options on that is what I would look at is see how, get with the Water Authority of Dixon County, find out how far the sewer is. Is it way away? Well, then your other option is to look if that 10 acres has got soil. Has it got suitable soils for, either a conventional septic system, an LPP, like they make you do in Williamson County. Everything is basically, or a step system. Now you can do single lot step systems. A lot of people don't know that, but you can do single lot step systems on some of those.
And then for Bob.
Oh, sorry.
With an aging population in the local area and people with mobility issues, I get requests every day for high quality 1-level homes, and they don't want a 5,000 3-foot story brick home on an acre to mow every week. Is there anything we can do to provide more housing for that population in this area? There's nowhere for them to go.
It's sadly needed, and we have talked to Brentwood for the last 25 years about. And Brentwood's the biggest issue because, and it's not so much it's an acre, because you can do a OSRD and make it a smaller lot, but it's typically not conducive to seniors. If there's a product that is so needed in Williamson County, it is just exactly that. It is needed everywhere, but it is really needed in Williamson County. What Pulte, what they're doing, what's the Dale Webb stuff, they're selling that as fast as they can put it up right now. It is crazy what's going on. Yeah, exactly. So getting it in Williamson County is tough. Now, you could do it in the county, and you could have small lots in the county, and you can do that product. But seniors, which, I've still got a ways before I get there, but seniors like to be near an interstate or near, some different services, or they're traveling to see grandkids or things. So sticking it out in the middle of the county is typically not what you'd want to do. I will tell you that we're doing something down in Florida with Margaritaville with Jimmy Buffett. Okay, so they are focusing. They have a concept now. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Margaritaville for seniors, and it is unbelievable. I think they did one in Jacksonville, and they were selling 20 a month, 30 a month. Really. So we are a very good focal point for empty nesters. I'll never forget in Smyrna, they were ranked the number 7 in the nation. Remember this? For empty nesters. And we had a project going. I said, where are they going to go, y'all? And this is the city council. And they said, we have no idea why we were ranked 7th. But what I was trying to do is trying to tell them, give us smaller lots. We can restrict them where it's an empty nester product, and you can see it. No, we're really trying to focus on that. That is a huge, huge untapped market. Okay?
Oh, more questions?
So I'm genuinely not trying to open a can of worms on a previously painful episode in your life, but let's just say, theoretically.
I'll go ahead. I'll just take that.
Cindy took my mic. So let's just say, hypothetically, you stake out an area, you want to do a development, and everybody seems really happy about it, and you go public with it, and you get huge pushback. What is your philosophy that drives your strategy to deal with the pushback to hopefully be able to build that fabulous development you set out to do?
Run like hell. I'll tell you that. He is referring to Old Hillsborough Road, and you and I'll talk later about bringing that up, John. A great project on Old Hillsborough Road. Listen to this, 2-acre tracts, $1 million homes, huge pushback on Old Hillsborough Road. Stop Bob Parks. Stop this crazy development. We pushed it back far enough that you couldn't see the houses. It was off the charts, nuts. And I said, that's it. And life is too short. I'm not going to mess with that. And you know, it was shortly after that that I said, Bob needs to go away. Because that is shortly after that, Bob Parks Realty went away. Because I said, it's not fair. And we had a couple agents that lived out there. They got all kind of abuse. What's this greedy developer that you work for doing out there? And listen, y'all, this was a unbelievably beautiful subdivision. So it's not fair to you that if we do something controversial, typically we'll just back off. We'll pull off. It is not going to do that. Not going to do it. Blessing, we found someone to buy it. Brandon Jenkins, I think, bought it, and he said, bring them, I don't care. He didn't give a flip what anybody said. I get sensitive because I also know it's affecting 800 agents, so it's not worth it. So thank you, John, for bringing it up.
Okay, does anyone have a nice question for Bob?
That's the only project in 40-something years that we've ever had people put signs up, stop Bob Parks. So I said, okay, you just did, that worked.
All right, we maybe have time for one or two more. We're right at 11. Does anyone have a question you were hoping to answer? Maybe not. Well, all right then. Thank you guys for being here. It was wonderful to see all of you. Have an awesome day.